nothing happens. Best time to take action is now.
This is the time to work on you and your business.
So I've created a group,
An online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you
to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
see you in Power Partners.
Good morning. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Ni hao. Hola. Ohio. Bienvenue. Wan Ying. Bienvenidos. Yokoso. And welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each week, I get the incredible opportunity to come into your home and take you on a journey to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I get the magnificent opportunity to take you on a mental, physical, and spiritual adventure into the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. And I use them as a template, as an inception point to get people to begin the journey of discovering the value of your own stories. Welcome to May. Welcome to the happy birthday for those of you who are born on this wonderful month of May. And let me welcome my friends and viewers all over the world. This show is dedicated to a couple people. First of all, Patrick Sadi. Bonjour. Comment ça va? And I want to apologize to you guys for false advertising. It was not done purposely. What happened was the show was originally going to be about gemstones. It was really going to be about emeralds and dragons. And for those of you who are dragon fans, I will get to that show next week. But literally this morning, each week I talk about discovering the value of your story. And I said at the beginning of the show, I said at the end of the show. But this morning, it happened to me. Usually what I do is people ask me all the time, where do I get my ideas from the show? It literally just comes to me. It's literally like it's a wave. And sometimes the best part of this show is I don't always know the direction that I want to take. Okay, I have an overview, but literally it's the universe that will lead me into a certain direction. So I had a show all set up. And again, I will do this next week or maybe the week after next on dragons and, of course, emeralds. And a whole month we'll talk about emeralds. And you know how I feel about emeralds. But literally 2 o'clock this morning, I was laying in bed thinking about the show. And all of a sudden, it dawned on me that today is one of the greatest days in the world. Today is May 4th. May 4th. And for those, I'm trying to pull up my screen. I don't know why it's not coming up, but it's okay. We're going to work on that. Okay, here we go. So for those of you who are following along and taking notes, thank you, bravo. The title of this show is The Value of Your Story. Because this is, I tell stories all the time each week, Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. Thank you for those of you who watch religiously. I truly appreciate it. But it's time for me to tell my origin story. Because today is May 4th. And for those of you, and that might be just a regular day for some of you, but for me and for millions of people like myself, this is truly an incredible day. Because today, and we'll talk about, again, emeralds. I just wanted to tease you. Yes, emeralds. Those of you who are born in this month, bravo. Oh, my God. Emeralds are just such a fantastic gemstones. And those of you who want to know about dragons, I am just as equally, when you begin to understand the significance of dragons and gemstones and stories, then you'll see why I was so excited about the show. But it had to be something phenomenal to kick that out of the format today, because today we're going to talk about Star Wars. This is a truly momentous day for me, not just because of I'm in front of all of you, as I feel every week, but today is the day that 45 years ago changed my life. This month changed my life. Star Wars came out May 25th, 1977. And just to tell you how powerful the Force is, May 25th, 1977 was on a Wednesday. And I remember that day because I wasn't even 17. I was 16. My birthday is in October. So I was 16 years old, a junior in high school, Jamaica High School. Those of you who are Jamaica High School fans, hey, Jamaica High School in the house. And I was supposed to go on that day. But for some reason, I don't know why I didn't go. Probably my mother wouldn't let me go. You know, back in those days, you were 17, you just didn't hang out all night, things like this. So my mother didn't let me go. And I was so upset because I was supposed to go with my friends like Barry Watkins, and I forgot the other guy who was supposed to go. We were supposed to go down to 42nd Street and to the Lowe's Valencia Theater, because that's when they used to have one movie for one movie house, and see this thing called Star Wars. And from the very beginning, I knew that this movie would change my life. I didn't know how, but I knew just from the poster, just from a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Just the poster. This is the original poster of Star Wars. And I couldn't wait to see it. And I didn't see it on that Wednesday. I had to wait till Sunday to see it. I was working at the International House of Pancakes. I was a chef. Actually, this was the first date that I went on with my soon-to-be first wife. And I should have known not to marry her and we'll talk about that, because she fell asleep during Star Wars. Oh, my God. But I remember when I saw Star Wars for the first time. So let me set up the scene. We're downtown, 42nd Street, right in Times Square, the heart of Times Square. Literally, I had to stand online for 3 hours just to get to the front of the door. That's how long it was. And it was a hot day. So we stand online and we're waiting. This is when people were cool and stuff. You're standing and you're waiting. And my wife at the time, Jeanette, was just like, this is stupid. This is for a movie. I'm like, telling you, this is going to be great. This is our first date. She wasn't happy with me, but I wanted to see this movie. When Star Wars first came out, when I sat there in this, I don't know how many seats, probably like 1,000, 1,500 seats in the theater. Lowe's Valencia Theater was huge. And I remember when the scene first opened up, you know, the black screen with the yellow letters, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and you saw Star Wars. It was a religious experience for me. It wasn't just a movie. I knew that I was not going to be the same when I didn't know what the movie was about. And my friends had told me, the ones who went on the Wednesday, May 25th, they told me when they came back to school the next day, the only thing they said was that all the ships were dirty. And I was like, dirty? What do you mean dirty? That's it? That's it? And the reason why they said that, because we was watching Star Trek at the time, and all the ships and all the models that they used in Star Trek was clean and neat and everything else. What Star Wars is a different kind of movie. But when I got there to actually see it, it was amazing. It was life-changing for me. I can't even express it to you just how it still makes me feel today sitting there and watching this movie. And the thing that got me more than anything else was the whole concept of the Force. And I was so excited about today's show because I never really get a chance to explain to people what the Force means to me. Okay. And those of you who are huge Star Wars fans, you understand. But there are a lot of people, and this is the part that want to make me want to cry. There's still people out there who think Star Wars is just a movie. It's not. It's not. In fact, Star Wars was the thing that got me truly to begin understanding the power of stories. This movie not only changed my life, it saved my life in so many. I use the concept of Star Wars in so many aspects of my life. So today is an anniversary for me. This is the 45th anniversary of me becoming awakened in a good and bad way. When I saw Star Wars, the first person that resonated, the first character that resonated with me was Darth Vader. When I'm sitting in the theater, and I can tell, I mean, I can see it like, yes, I was sitting on the left side in the middle of the theater, the main rows, and I was sitting to the left, a little bit in towards the center. And I remember the scene where, the ship comes in, the troop ship comes in, the Imperial cruiser comes up, Star Cruiser comes up, gobbles up the ship, brings it into the port, and you see the guys, the stormtroopers were fighting the rebels, and then you hear dun 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 dun, and that's when Darth Vader entered the room. Now, if you understand, those days they had the cowboy movies. So, the guy with the bad guy always had a black hat, the black hat, or he was just dirty or darker than everybody else. So you knew that was the bad guy. The moment I saw Darth Vader, I knew that's the bad guy. I don't know who else. I don't know what this movie is about, but that's the bad guy. And you have to understand that Darth Vader resonated with me on a deeper level. First of all, Darth Vader is black. That's one. I know inside he's David Prowse, a 6'7" white guy, bodybuilder and everything else. But for me, as an African-American young man growing up in Harlem, New York, and then I lived in Jamaica, Queens, Darth Vader was black because Darth Vader had, first of all, his whole thing was black, and he had a cape. And the only people that I knew back in my neighborhood that was like that were the pimps. Okay, so I believe Darth Vader was just a different kind of pimp, more powerful than anything I had ever seen. And I remember the first time I saw him, I knew that that's who I wanted to be. When in 1977, I was 16, May 25th or May 29th at this point, I was very, very angry. That was the beginning of my journey towards the dark side. As I tell you many, many times, my mom, and again, I've forgiven her. Someone asked me the other day, did I forgive my mom? Yeah, my mom and I are cool because I understand it. I understand the kind of gemstone she was. But back in those days, oh my God, I was so angry. And the scene that got me was the first scene. Those of you who are Star Wars fans, the first scene. Well, the first time you see him, he's choking one of the guys. He lifts him up and says, "I want the plans to the ship." And he just cracks the guy's throat and just throws him away. And that spoke to me. But the scene that I will always remember, the scene that made me know that I wanted to be Darth Vader, was the scene when he's on the Death Star. To the right, those of you who don't follow, is the Lord Moff. He was basically the admiral, the supreme commander of the Imperial forces. And the guy to the left was just one of the commanders of the Death Star. And there's this whole dialogue between Moff and the other commanders sitting there talking about the power of the Death Star. And Darth Vader walks in, and he's standing there next to his Lord Grand Moff. He was basically, Darth Vader was like his right-hand man. And that's when the guy to the left starts talking about, he starts teasing Darth Vader. Oh, don't, we're not impressed with your sorcerer ways, Lord Vader. Your clairvoyance and all your powers have given you the plan, giving you more clairvoyance, and you figured out where the plans to the Death Stars are. And what was so cool about that, in my mind, those days, was the way Darth Vader just sauntered. I mean, literally, he did look up the definition of saunter, and you see Darth Vader, he just strolled over to where that guy was near, literally 10 feet away, 10 feet away. And he just takes his fingers and says, "Your lack of faith disturbs me." Well, first, even before he did that, he said, "Don't be too proud in this technological terror you have constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant once put against the powers of the Force." And that's when the guy keeps talking mess. And Lord Vader just saunters over, just so cool. And he begins to choke him from across the room. "Don't be, your lack of faith disturbs me." That's when I knew I wanted to be Vader. Because I was bullied a lot as a kid. I was skinny. I was nerdy. I was getting bullied at home. I was getting bullied at school. It was just so for me to be Vader, to be able to choke somebody from across. I didn't want to kill anybody. Well, if that was an option, yeah. But I didn't want to kill him. I just wanted the pain to stop. I wanted the pain to stop. And if that is what I had to do to get there, then that's what I wanted to be. And what is so amazing about Star Wars, because Star Wars, again, it's not a movie, it's Shakespearean. It truly is. Star Wars, those of you who still haven't watched the movie, Star Wars is Shakespearean, because Star Wars is the story of Anakin Skywalker, the little boy who was destined to do great things. And because of the things going on around him in his life, his mother died, and she was a slave, and his mother died, and he couldn't save her. What you're really noticing or watching is the journey of this little boy who became Darth Vader. Those of you who don't understand what the Force is really can start from what Obi-Wan first said to Luke in the very beginning. When Luke Skywalker was in Obi-Wan's house in Tatooine, the desert planet. And that's when he picked up a lightsaber, just like this. And what's so significant about this lightsaber is this is the lightsaber that started my whole career in Toastmasters. This is it. My ex-wife gave me this, literally one of the best gifts she gave me. We was already separated. She gave me this gift, and I looked at it, and this is Darth Vader's this is a studio prop, literally, of the lightsaber they used in the movie. And this is what it sounds like. And when Obi-Wan said to Luke, he said, Luke said, "What's the Force?" And he said, "The Force is an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us. It binds us. It brings the galaxy together." That was it for me. That was it. I knew at that day that I wanted to be a Jedi. I went home in my 2009 first speech in Toastmasters was a speech I created, Return of the Jedi. And that was the scene that I ran home that day. I saw Star Wars over 200 times in the theater. I know some of y'all are like, is this guy for real? For real. Every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would travel from Queens all the way to Manhattan to the Lowe's Valencia Theater. I had to take a bus, 2 trains to get to the E train, to the 7th train, the 7th train to 47th Street, 42nd Street, and stand in line, because again, Star Wars ran for years, just a single movie, and I saw it every weekend. 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes catch 2 shows. Because it was the whole concept. That was it for me. I wasn't somebody who went to church. I wasn't somebody I didn't read the Bible. But when I heard that, I knew. And I remember going home telling my mom, Mom, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm going to be a Jedi Knight. And my mother said, typical, my mom said, okay, but don't forget to take out the garbage before you leave. That was my mom. And I knew she didn't understand it because it was what it meant. You had to see it to understand what it meant to be a part of this thing called the Force. And I kept that in my head for such a long time. Every weekend, every week, I know all the lines. Remember, name that tune. You can just give me 2 or 3 notes from the soundtrack and I know exactly what scene that was in. I quoted the scene. I mean, when I joined the Marine Corps, again, I was 16, 17. I joined the Marine Corps, 17 years old. I turned 18 in boot camp. So literally this story of Star Wars was in my head, in my soul. The part of the reason I joined the Marine Corps was because of the uniforms and the whole consciousness of the Force. And I thought that if I was going to find that, if I was going to be a Jedi Knight, if I was going to be either a Jedi Knight or Imperial Stormtrooper, I had to go through the Marine Corps to get that, make that happen. So fast forward to 30 years ago when I was homeless. Star Wars was one of the things that kept me going. It kept me going because I kept thinking about what it meant to be a Jedi Knight. And let me help you, for those of you who don't know, a Jedi is, I still believe it even more so now than I did then. Because what a Jedi is, when someone is, the greatest compliment I can ever give you is when I call you a Jedi. Because to me, a Jedi is that man or woman, when you really understand it, that's the guy, that's the person that you can count on. That's the person that when something hits the fan, no matter how bad it is, if you got a Jedi on your team, if you got a Jedi in your life, if you are a Jedi, then there's a certain responsibility that you have to have, that you are good at whatever you do. Because what people don't understand about the Jedi weren't just Vader. Vader was of course, one of the greatest Jedi, but Vader had his own specific talents. His things was putting things together and flying ships. He was the greatest, one of the greatest pilots in the whole galaxy. That was his particular talent. But when you begin to understand what Star Wars was, a Jedi could be someone who was into medicine. A Jedi could be a chef. A Jedi could be anything. A Jedi was someone who embodied whatever profession, whatever goal that person was into. That's what a Jedi was. And for years, I went back and forth, not knowing, because being a Jedi wasn't being Darth Vader, because Darth Vader was a Sith Lord. He as Obi-Wan said so clearly, Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force. And that's what happened to me. I was seduced by the dark side. The whole concept of being that evil, to be able to just reach out and just choke somebody from across the room. I wanted to be that. I wanted to learn how to do that. I wanted to somehow get back at the people who had hurt me in my life. And that pain, that understanding is what I took with me. That's what helped me survive homelessness. I kept thinking to myself, what would I do if I was a Jedi Knight? And that's the importance of stories. Each week when I talk about stories, I talk about discover the value of your story. Who are you? How did you get here? What are your beliefs? What are the things that you have done to get to that point in your life? And the beauty of stories and the beauty of Once Upon a Time is you begin to understand, see your life as a story, and begin to understand, where do you fit in the story? Where does your character fit along the timeline of your own story? And when you begin to understand that power, then you can change your life. So for years, my call sign in the Marine Corps, these are my old flight wings. You can't really see them. These are my old flight wings. I was a navigator on C-130s. And when they pinned them on me, they pinned them on me really, really hard, because my call sign in the Marine Corps was Vader. You know, I was just that malevolent. My spirit was black all the time. You know, if you wanted something bad to happen to somebody, you called me. And I took great pride in that. I took great pride in it. I wanted to be the best. I was Darth Vader. You know, in my house, I have Vaders everywhere. I have Vader mask and posters. I mean, this is full face Vader. And this is not just my Halloween costume. This is me. So when I got out of homelessness and joined Toastmasters, and I told you this story before, but when I joined Toastmasters and competed in the international speech contest, they asked me, and I asked them, what do you talk about? And they said, talk about anything that you really know. And I said, well, shoot, I know Star Wars. I can talk about that all day. I can talk about that forever. And my first speech, and it's so funny how this all comes together, because my first international speech, which is what I just did, 3 weeks ago, was this speech about Star Wars. It was called Return of the Jedi. And because at first it was an angry speech, but then as time went on, as I was practicing this speech, I began to realize the power of the whole concept, the similarities between being a Toastmaster, being a Jedi Knight, and being a Toastmaster. So April 2009, again, I had been in Toastmasters for only 4 months. But to me, the same perseverance, the same dedication, the same work ethic that you had to do to stand on that stage at the international speech contest was exactly what you needed to be if you were a Jedi Knight. And I made the comparison on that stage in front of like 700-800 people. And Greg Thompson just confirmed. Greg Thompson is one of the people I competed, one of the first people I competed in 2009. He confirmed that just a couple of weeks ago. There was like 700 people in the room. And it was a dark room, and we had microphones on. And I remember standing there talking to the audience, telling them that what it meant to be a Jedi Knight. And I said, I'm sorry for some of you who may not know, forgive me. Let me start from the beginning. And I had this lightsaber. Again, this is a lightsaber from a ex-wife who we was going through the process of divorce, but this is what she gave me. And I remember standing on the audience stage and saying, this, and I held the lightsaber out and I said, this is a lightsaber. And you can hear that sound resonating through the whole audience. I said, it is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster or a gun, but it is, as Obi-Wan once said, it is an elegant weapon for far more civilized age. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi were the guardians of truth and justice in the Old Republic. For the Jedi, their power flowed from the Force. Now, the amazing thing about being a Jedi is the fact that you would walk around with all this power on your hip. You would wear your lightsaber underneath your robe, so you never really knew when you were in the presence of a Jedi Knight. You could be standing right next to one, and the only thing you know for sure is that there was something different about that person. But the moment that a conflict arises, the moment that you see him or her standing there using the force, it would be at that moment, that exact moment when you would know without a shadow of a doubt that you were in the presence of a Jedi Knight. And then I made the analogy between being a Jedi Knight and being a Toastmaster. And this is the actual book I had, the dictionary. I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Webster's New World Collegiate Dictionary, and it is the weapon of a Toastmaster. Heavy, hard to carry, clumsy, maybe not something you'd put in your back pocket. But as each and every speaker who has come on this stage has already shown you, it is an elegant weapon for a far less civilized age. For over 90 years, the Toastmasters have been the guardians of the spoken word. For those of us who are Toastmasters, we understand that some of our power flows from the dictionary. Now, the amazing thing about being a Toastmaster is the fact that we walk around with all this power in our hearts and in our minds, so you never really know when you're in the presence of a Toastmaster. You could be standing right next to one, and the only thing you know for sure is that there's something different about that person. But the moment that we come on this stage, the moment that you hear our visions, our passions, our ideas flow from our mouths, it will be at that moment, that exact moment when you will know without a shadow of a doubt that you are in the presence of a Toastmaster. And this is what I want. I lost. I came in second place. I haven't held this trophy since 2009. And this was my second place trophy. And I was so angry because everyone told me that I was going to win. Everybody told me that I was going to win. And when they did not call my name, I was like, what? What? I wanted to be Vader that day. So, and that day was one of the greatest days of my life, because I told you I had the blinds closed and a single beam of light and I had it on the desk, and there was a single beam of light that hit the cup. In fact, the beam was going in the cup and radiated, and I realized that was a life-changing moment for me. So imagine how I feel today to be able to do this. May 4th, 45 years this month, 45 years, and here I just won the international speech contest using the same concepts that I developed so many years ago of what it means to be a Jedi. I got a tattoo right here of the symbol of a Jedi Knight. I got it January 1st, 2015, because at that point I realized that I got up early in the morning, January 1st, so it was New Year's Day, and I got up and I said, I called my girlfriend, I said, I'm ready. She said, ready? And I said, I'm ready to get a tattoo. I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to become a Jedi Knight. And I say all this not to say that you got to go outside and go on Netflix and watch Star Wars or watch it when it shows on TV all the time. What I'm saying is, what I'm trying to get you to understand is the power of your stories. The power of being able to take your own story, your own evolution. How did you get to being who you are? And the most important person you have to tell that story to is to yourself. You need to be able to have celebrations within inside of your life of who you are today. Are you moving towards your goal? Are you utilizing all the gifts and talents that you developed at some point in your life? Are you using it? Who are you? What is the meaning of your story? I did not even plan. This is not scripted. This is just when I sent you the Facebook page letting you know that the show, I went to bed. I went to bed knowing that I didn't have to think about what I was going to talk about today, because I've lived it. I've lived it. How many stories in your life, whether it be for movies, for me, it's always been movies. It's always been movies and music that speaks to me. That's how God talked to me, through movies and videos and songs that spoke to me to let me know what it is. My good friend, Dr. Joanne Lindstrom, who I used to call my spiritual advisor. I used to always tell people that I was a heathen because I didn't go to church. I still really don't go to church, but and Joanne used to say to me, boy, please, you talk about God more than anybody I know. And I'm like, I do? Because I don't know. I didn't know. And she was like, yeah. She's all that stuff that you talk about, the force and as a man thinketh. She says, all that's in the Bible. I said, it is? She says, yeah. Where do you think you got it from? I was like, I don't know. And she got me a book literally called Star Wars, the Gospel According to Star Wars. Written by John C. McDowell. And that's when I began to understand how stories fit together. I mean, think about it. How amazing is this show coming on a Wednesday? And not only did I just win the international speech contest, not only did I get a chance to talk to all of you, but the same principles that I learned from that 16-year-old boy. 16 years old. I'm 61. Literally, think about it. Think about it. 16, 16. My manager, Dr. Thomas, will tell you she's all into numerology. Think about it. I don't know what the meaning of seven. Seven. That's what she's going to say. 16, 16, 61, 61. Put them together, 7. According to her, that is my numerology number. That is my power number. And here we are today talking about Star Wars. So obviously, I'm totally excited. I'm going to get a breath of air, and I'll see you on the other side. See what happens when you got the bomb executive producer on your show. I didn't tell Barbara about what I was going to do. Literally 2 o'clock. I'm not going to wake the girl up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and say, girl, guess what? I got a new show. And yes, she does this. So bravo, Barbara. I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Oh my God. That was on that line. I was on that line on that day. And the most powerful thing that you can get out of a story is to understand the antagonist. You don't have a story without the antagonist. Darth Vader was my antagonist. He symbolized everything that I thought I wanted to be. But I began to realize that spirit, that energy was killing me. It was killing me, literally. 2010. I think it was around January or February 2010. I told you I was dying. I could feel my life force oozing out of my body. And I knew, because I'm a scientist and into medicine and everything, I knew that it wasn't a disease. I knew it wasn't a virus. I knew it wasn't something that was in the book. It was my mind. My mind was so dark. My mind was so black that it began to eat at my soul. And when you understand the concept of Star Wars, when you understand the concept and the journey of Anakin, that's what happened to him. His jealousy, his rage, his needing to be validated, his needing to be whatever, that was me. And it spoke to me. It spoke to me. And then as time went on, I began to understand the other elements that we talk about. We talk about the antagonist. That was Vader. But then we talk about awareness. I began to understand and become aware of what it meant to choose the dark side. That my life was going the way my life was going because of I let the dark side envelop me. I became like where I lost myself. So, and when I say discover the value of your own story, the most important person you have to tell a story to is to yourself. You have to begin to see your life as a story, and what kind of character are you playing within your own story? And when you begin to understand the power of that, then you understand that you control, you're the editor. You're the editor, you're the director, you're the screenwriter. There's no difference between Star Wars written by or conceived of by George Lucas and my story. He told of a young boy who had all this potential inside of him. They knew it. They knew who he was before. At least some of them did. And he knew it within himself, but because he wasn't validated, because the Jedi Council didn't make him feel good, because he was not accepted, and because, they talk about the haters. Well, Anakin became Darth Vader because of the haters. He allowed the haters to become so embodied in who he was that he wanted to just take them all out. And I realized in understanding that story, that's no longer what I want it to be. I no longer want it to be that black, that evil. And the reason why I have Star Wars all over my house is a reminder to me of what I almost became, what I did become, and the choice that I made not to. Star Wars stories can help you make better choices in your life. Stories can help you empower your movement in the things that you wanted to do. Years ago, when I first started competing in all the Toastmasters concept, it was about winning. I just wanted to win. I just wanted to win. And I had to win and win and win. That's what I wanted to do. And I didn't give a flying beep-a-doo-beep about who I beat it. I speak for a living. Who I beat, who I took out. I didn't care. That was my job in the Marine Corps, and I was just going to continue that in my civilian life. I didn't care. And the most beautiful thing that happened for me this time was that wasn't what I was feeling. Yeah, I won. I won. And it was a glorious feeling to stand there and be on that stage. Competing against other people who, some of those people who I've pissed off, some of those people, I was interesting in my early days. Some people still saying, you're still interesting. I know, I'm working on it. But it was different. It was different because of who I am inside now. When I work with kids, I have, and some of my kids I'm talking about from high school, from when I first started teaching. Some of those kids, Brandon, Alana is now a research scientist. I remember when Alana, beautiful young Hispanic girl, came to me in 7th grade and said, Mr. Mixon, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, what do you mean you don't want to do this anymore? I'm done with school. I'm like, girl, you're in 7th grade. What do you mean you're done with school? Now her tagline about him is that she's a research scientist. And she's graduating June 4th. My boy, Brandon, is graduating from high school. Just good looking, just handsome, and his spirit. And I've seen him go through the transition, and I was able to use the stories of my pain, of my journey to the dark side. What it meant. What it meant to me to take that anger on, to take the things that my mother said to me. Again, I tell you all the time, my mother never told me she loved me, ever, 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 ever. But she did it in different ways, and I understand that now. I understand that now because I understand the concept of what a story does. I understand that now is because as a gemologist, I understand gemstones. And I understand that there are some gemstones that, the Hope Diamond or the Enigma Diamond or the Tiffany Diamond. Yeah, those are wonderful diamonds. Those are wonderful gemstones. But what happens when you don't have those things? What happens when those elements, those inclusions are not in you? You are an emerald. And we'll talk about emeralds and the beauty of an emerald this month, but the challenges of an emerald, but yet they're still emeralds. And when you understand your story, when you understand the reason why you're here, and that this is it, you don't get another chance. Gemstones can be recut, repolished, refastened. We can make new movies. We can make new stories. Again, what are we up to? Star Wars number 10. They name, to me, they're not as good as the original ones, but they're not really made for me. They're made for the new generation. So when Rey became the first female real Jedi, okay, that spoke to, not to me, but they spoke to a whole generation of young ladies, of young girls who need to know what it means to have that kind of power. And you can extrapolate, when you understand the power of stories, you can extrapolate things, movies, scenes that you've seen, music that you've heard into your own life. That is the power of stories. And for me to be able to sit here and literally talk to people all around the world about something that I learned as a child, 16 years old, confused, angry, forget about low self-esteem. I ain't have self-esteem. And to be able to sit here today and talk about the Force, an energy field that surrounds us, it binds us, it brings the galaxy together, the whole galaxy. And when I spent time in a Zen Buddhist monastery, again, I always say that, and then I give you about 10 seconds, and then I say that I also got thrown out of it. This is what he was talking about when he said, you will get more out of this once you leave. What are you kicking me out? You will get more out of this once you leave. And here I am today, understanding where did he fit into my story, how the things that what he said to me was no different than when Yoda said to Luke what it meant, that it was all around us. A Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him. And it just, and I remember the feeling of hope that I had, that despite all that I was going through in my life, that I knew that if I believed in who I am, what gifts and talents that I had inside of me, that my life could change. That's what it means. When I say to someone, may the Force be with you, it's not a movie. Yes, yeah, and the line came from a movie, but it's real. It's real. If you need indication, validation, a testimony of that, it's real. The concept of the Force, it's not even just real metaphysics. What does the first law of thermodynamics say? That energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. That's real. That's what energy is. So the Force, the ancestors talked about, or ancient cultures, or cultures now, understand that your loved ones, the people you love, they're still all around us. That's the Force. That's the energy. That's, some people call it God, some people call it Allah, some people call it whatever you call it. That's the Force. And you have to find that. So may the Force be with you. The Force could be your grandmother. The Force can be your auntie. The Force could be your mom and your dad. Whatever that Force is for you, God, whatever that Force is for you, let it be inside of you. Where does it fit into your whole entire story? And I believe that we need that more now than we've ever did, because of all the things going on inside of it. We need to begin to turn inward and to begin to not turn inward, meaning knock everybody else out or blind yourself from everybody else that things going on. Turn inward and realize that you're a Jedi. You're a Jedi Knight. Whatever you do, Barbara had to be, if I had to say, Barbara is a social media Jedi Knight. You know, you ask somebody, if somebody needs something to be done and you need social media, you go to Barbara Beckley. Period. Done. And when you begin to understand how you touch other people's lives, that's the transformation. That's the 7 elements. Remember the antagonist, Darth Vader? Then awareness, understanding not only who you are. This is not something that you can do. This is something that you have to do. Transformation comes when people around you begin to see who you are and the way you touch other people's lives. And sound, the last sound is what resonates. The last sound is what is happening today for me with all of you. It's a sound. It's what resonates. What sound are you creating? When I did my speech, a sound, and I was talking about Mozart, Mozart wasn't just some guy who played music. He believed in it. He believed in who he was. And despite all the sugar honey iced tea that was happening in him in his life, he believed in his sound and he played it. He played it in people too, as I say in my speech, 220 years later, when people talk about the Comcast system, which we're in right now, at least I am, that's what I pay. You might have AT&T, okay? But understand that when they decided to talk about the Xfinity system, whose music did they use? They used his music. The guy who played Darth Vader was cheated out of his last scene in the movie. A lot of people didn't even know who David Prowse was because they used another actor. And he had to make a choice. He was Darth Vader, one of the greatest villains in the history of movies. The greatest villain. You look on the list, Darth Vader is always number 1, 2, something, right in the top 5. He got cheated out of that, but yet he chose. I saw him interview. I went to one of those Star Wars conventions, and I saw an interview, and he said, actually, he wasn't even invited to. He was off shoot. But anyhow, he said that he didn't want to become Vader. He didn't want to let that anger that he felt about being left out, the best part of him, the scene that he did, the last scene where they took Darth Vader's mask, he didn't want to become the character that he was playing. So he lived the rest of his life understanding what he did, the contribution that he made to the world. That's what we have to do. That's what this is when you say, may the force be with you. That's what it is. That force that's inside of you. That energy, that thing that you bring to the world. And if you don't bring that to the world, who's going to bring it? If you don't understand the significance of your story, you don't understand the significance that you were born in May and the powers that a gemstone an emerald can bring to your life. The healing powers. What does green mean? It's not a movie, guys. All movies and next week we're going to be talking about dragons and obviously, I mean, some people believe that dragons are real, but there's a connection between the energy of a dragon, and when there was good dragons and bad dragons, and how dragons always hoarded gemstones. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a truly evil character, Smaug. Those of you who watch The Hobbit. That's what got me started about it. This just how gemstones can be utilized in good and bad ways. That's what Star Wars is about. How you can take something that's inside of you that has the potential of being incredible, and you turn. Those of you who are good moms, those of you who are you decided on the light. I used to have in my classroom that said the only difference between the good side and the dark side, the light side and the dark side of the Force is choice. It's choice. You have to decide who you want to be. You have to decide your story. And if you get as old as me, you ain't got that much time. So, again, my name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller and a Jedi Knight. And what I want for you to do is to take time to discover the value of your story. But until next week, I get a chance to say something I've been wanting to say for 45 years to the world. May the Force be with you always. Until next week, au revoir.